Hello and welcome. My name is Rachel. I am a wife, a mother, a knitter, a crocheter, and a teacher. And I like to film episodes or videos of myself sharing with you about recent updates as well as some challenges, and then finally what interests I have in terms of moving forward. Today I'm brought to you by my hair that needs to be done. I don't know what's going on with this little small nugget of hair I have on my head, but we are not on the same page. And I'm trying to decide, do I want to put my hair back in braids so I don't have to deal with anything, or do I want to keep my hair super short? But we are moving into the winter months, so we'll see. I am sitting outside of my house right now because all my family is out and about, and I am taking a break from working today. I have successfully completed all of my tasks, and so I'm going to take an extended lunch break to knit. The garment I have in my hand right now that I'm working on is called Frame. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I have gone through so many trials and tribulations with this pattern, it's not even funny, but I finally have come to a decision that I am going to knit this up as a vest. And if I magically have more yarn, then I will go ahead and proceed forward with doing the pattern as it was called for. But I'm not going to do the drop shoulders. I'm not going to do any of the short roll shaping in that regard. I will do some neck shaping, and I probably will raise the back a little bit in order for it to fit a little bit more cohesively. But other than that, we are sticking to this being a vest, so I do not have to buy any yarn. And so far so good. I have been able to resist the temptation of buying yarn. This week it was hard. It was so hard. I got these emails, and then I was reminded of other potentials that I wanted to buy, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want this yarn, but I don't need the yarn. I have a whole room full of yarn that I purchased for different projects that's going to take me at least 5 years, if not longer, in order to knit and crochet through. So why don't I just start utilizing what I currently have? So that's what I'm doing, because knitting is the new yoga. It's a t-shirt I got for one of my coworkers. She also teaches African American studies, but she teaches it in the honors CP level. And she knows how much I love knitting, as she had to have watched me spend hours doing it when we went on a field trip together. And so she got me this as a little gift, and I thought it was really sweet. So I wear it as often as possible. So as I mentioned, I'm working on this particular project, and I'm listening to the book How the Word is Passed by Clint Smith. It's so good. I started reading it last night, and I love it. And so I'm like, I like it so much, I want to listen to it and read it. So I just went ahead and used one of my audiobook credits and got it. So I'm doing that while working on this. And I am hoping that today is the day that I can, oh, where is it? Oh, it's right over here. I don't want to move it because if I do, it's going to make it fall. But today is the day that I'm going to break for sleeves for my Fjolla project. So I'm going to bring you over here. Welcome. You see my yard a little bit. Here is my Fjolla project. Check it out. Oh, it looks so beautiful. And I haven't made much progress on it from the last time I talked about it. I just added, there was another section of doing some lace repeats, so I did that. And so before I meet up with my knit group, my goal is to go ahead and put break for sleeves. So it will take me about an hour to get through the repeats in order to do that, and then I will be breaking for sleeves for that, and then it's just straight stockinette around. And as soon as I am at that particular point, when I got a good chunk, I usually do about an inch, if not two, on the body, and then I take a break from working on the body, and then I do a sleeve, and then I do about 4 or 5 inches on the body. Probably end up doing the rest of it, and then I'll do the second sleeve and the collar. That's how I see myself doing it. This was a very quick knit, and if this was my only knitting focus, I probably would have this particular sweater done now. But as we all know, we get distracted and we have other interests that we're doing. I mentioned, and I will make sure a picture of it is included in the thumbnail. I mentioned that I finished my crochet blanket that I was making for a peer. So she's having her first baby, and her nursery colors are yellow, and so I have successfully finished that, and I'm really excited to share that with her. A part of me was like, maybe I should make the blanket bigger. Then I remembered she lives in Florida, it's a newborn baby, the yarn is with acrylic, it's going to stretch out, so doing the length and width that I did, it's going to work, because the length of it is from my hips all the way down to my legs, and I did a measurement because I'm that person, and my legs are 41 inches long. So it's 41 inches long and it is 30 inches wide. No, it's 27 inches wide. So I'm really am excited to share that with her. And my goal is to mail that out, if not today, but by Monday. I got her a set of onesies, and I will pick up a card for her as well, just congratulating her and her partner on the arrival of their new baby. And so that project is finished. That is my only finished object. And I wanted to really quick share out some fall knitting plans. And so we all talk about what we're going to knit in the fall. And today I wanted to talk about the journey it takes to do that. So the first part of this is just talking about the journey, the thought process. And then in my next video, I would love to just film an overview of some patterns that I think are underrated that would be perfect for the fall. And so how I go about my process of selecting projects that I want to knit in the fall is starting with, what do I already have on my needles? My goal is to always make sure that before I start a new season of knitting, not that I'm a really prolific seasonal knitter, but I do like to knit within the season. I try to do at least 1 or 2 projects within the season. But anyway, the first thing I do is start with looking at what do I have on my needles and how much more time do I need in order to finish that, and where I'm currently at with all of my projects. I have my shorts, which I should hopefully finish the shorts by the end of the month. And today is, what is today? The 23rd. So I should have the shorts finished by next weekend. Where I'm at right now, I finished the hem and I'm working on the body before I split for the legs. So that's not going to take me too long. In fact, I'm going to be a monogamous knitter on Sunday. And since I finished my crochet project, Sunday will be the day I'm going to be working on the shorts. I'm on a part right now when I have to do the German short rolls. So I'm going to do the German short rolls, and then I will continue knitting the body and around until the shorts length is where I want it to be. And then I'll divide, and then I will have my shorts, and I'm really excited about this. They're a little thicker than what I had anticipated, but I think they're going to be the perfect garment to wear in that transitional weather, or when I'm having a transitional body temperature moment. I totally see myself at Rhinebeck wearing the shorts and wearing one of my sweatshirts or sweaters with it. Like, I cannot wait for that. So I'm working on that, and I should have that finished by the end of the month. The other item I have on my needles, as I mentioned, is my frame sweater, and then finally my Fjolla. So if I can get those 3 active whips completed by September 21st, then I would like to start and focus on some projects that I had initiated but are no longer an active priority, and making a decision. Do I really want to focus on this now? Do I have the capacity? Because as we all know, we're a little bit busier in the fall, I almost said fall semester. Not all of you on this are teachers, but I find that I'm busier in the fall because it's the start of school for my sons. Both of them are doing extracurricular activities. So my husband and I split the responsibility of getting them to those locations. In addition to that, they have their physical appointments where they have to go to these different appointments in order to be seen and evaluated by their doctors. And so I have to, take off time off for work for that. And then one of them has dentist appointments. You know how it is. So all those things, for whatever reason, always happen in the fall, and I have to get those situated. In addition to that, it's the start of the school year for me. And so for me professionally, it takes a lot of mental energy just to get students up and going, just get myself acclimated to the new group of students I'm interacting with. And then finally, there's always some new responsibilities that I will have in the fall semester, or responsibilities I once had that I now have to share with someone else or give to someone else that I have to train them on. So with those different components, I find that I have less time for knitting. And so one of the things I like to do, and I encourage you all to do as well if you have a really hectic schedule in the fall, is to select projects that are not as time consuming, that will allow you to be thoroughly engaged, but at the same time, not take away some of that mental energy that you may need to invest in other areas. The fall is that cooler time period, and so we feel this rush in order to finish up with items, and so the quality of our work may dip off as well. And so it's okay to pick, not that you're asking me, but it's definitely okay to pick those projects that may take a little bit longer in order to do. I know that for myself, my fall knitting plans, I plan to knit the Solare sweater, which is a pattern by Locatelli. I plan to knit the scoop sweater, which is another pattern by Locatelli, and I plan to knit the Arctic light sweater, which is a pattern by Veronica Lindbergh. Those are the 3 sweaters that I really hope to finish by December. I don't know, or well, November 30th, but technically fall ends, the start of winter is December 21st. So my hope is to have those 3 projects finished before the official start date of December 21st. And then in the winter, I will obviously pick another group of patterns. There are obviously other patterns that I'm hoping to cast on or to actively work with, but in terms of like what finished objects I want by December 31st, those are the 3 that I'm hoping for the most. I'm hoping to have the scoop, I'm hoping to have the Solare, and I'm hoping to have the Arctic light. Those 3 particular garments have been on my mind, in my queue, just waiting for me to cast on, and I haven't done so. The other pattern that I'm pushing myself to knit and have that finish by the fall as well, even though I'm having a little mental block, so why push myself, is the throw over / throwback. Not even years ago, but 2 years ago, because I started knitting when I was 41. So 3 years, how old am I? 43. So I guess 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, we'll do it that way. 2 summers ago, it was my 41st birthday, and my husband finally caught the hint to stop buying me specific items and just to give me money to go towards yarn. So he gave me a nice chunk of money to go to the yarn store to buy something that I want. And I purchased yarn for the pattern to throw over. I liked the color work on the sweater, and I thought I could make myself a cardigan for it. But for whatever reason, I never cast it on. I got gauge, liked it, liked the pattern, was really excited about it, but I just could not get it on my needles. And every single time I went forward with casting it on, something would happen that would completely distract me from moving forward with this project. And so a year later passed, and it's an annual sale by Andrea Mowry for one of her patterns. And I noticed the throw over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's exactly like the throwback. And I was going back and forth with myself. I even posed a question to Andrea Mowry, who was kind enough to answer for me. Like, I have the throwback, and I'm starting to think I want to do this as a pullover, because I don't think I want to do this as a cardigan anymore. What are your suggestions? And she said that she basically said that I could do the throwback as a pullover, but the gauge is slightly different, and that if I were to do it as a pullover, I would have to, do some math and do that. And at the time, I did not feel like doing that math, or I didn't feel confident in my ability to do that math. So I decided just to purchase the throw over, and especially since the pattern was on sale. I believe that particular sale was a 40% off. And so I got it for just a couple of bucks, the same amount of money that I spend whenever I go to a coffee shop, or probably less if I'm being transparent. So anywho, I purchased it and never did anything with it. I look at it all the time. I have the yarn for it. I actually have 3 different sweater quantities that I could potentially use, because both patterns call for a worsted weight. I have about 11 or 12 halos of the Cascade 220, which I was thinking about doing a throw over. It's this beautiful rich navy blue, almost like this particular color. And I have to accept the fact I like to wear navy blue. I also like to wear black and gray and red. Those are the 4 colors I've noticed that are frequently in the rotation of my sweater or clothing. And so it makes sense for me to do the throw over in that. However, I don't want a navy blue cardigan. I already have a navy blue cardigan that I'm trying to make myself wear, even though it's a little too small for me. I can't deny the fact I should have went up a size in my arms. It fits perfectly on my chest, and then but I should have went up a size on my arms, or I should have cast on more stitches for the back, because the way that the design was done, you start with the back and then you pick up stitches for the front. And if I had my time back, I would have cast on more stitches for the back and then pick up stitches for the front. But anyway, that particular garment, which I love, and I'm so proud of myself, because it's one of the first cardigans I made that was to the pattern, where it came out exactly as designed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can read a pattern, yay. And so I want to make myself another lace cable-y cardigan. And so that's where my mind focus is. But I also want to make a colorwork cardigan, and I can't decide if I want to do the throwback or the throw over. So I went back and forth with myself, and I decided that I'm going to do the throw over. as you can see, I'm still not 100% committed to it. So since I cannot make this decision, I'm going to put that particular project on hold. I don't want to commit myself to it because I don't want another frame situation. And so there are 2 other colorwork patterns that I am highly interested in doing. The other one is, in addition to doing a throw over and a throwback, I'm also interested in doing the Lintho, which is a cardigan by Natasha Hornby. And I want to do the Dreama pullover, which is a colorwork pattern by Jessica Steinglass, I think is her name. And so both patterns are delicious. I love them. For whatever reason, I can't cast them on. One excuse I have for the Dreama, I was like, well, I don't like the collar. In the pattern directions, she states you can do a fold over collar, you can do a a rib collar, or you can do the collar that she did for her version. It is really up to you. So I'm like, just do it, just cast it on. I have some purple yarn that it's the Lion brand recycled polyester yarn, and it's this beautiful purpley heather color. I think I showed it a couple of videos ago. It's really nice and it's super soft, and I think it would be perfect for color work because it's sticky. And I already have this gray and white yarn that will really enhance, because the pattern calls for 4 colors, so 1 main color and 3 color works. And I have this light gray, this slightly darker gray that's more like a dove, and then I have white. And I just think I can just totally see that, because it would really accentuate the heather that's in that particular pattern. So the more I talk about it, I might as well do it. That is the pattern I'm gravitating the most. That's the one I'm thinking about the most. And I think this is just my season of doing color work. I thought this year would be the year of cables. And I did a cable sock. I did a cable sweater. The only thing I need to do is a cable cardigan. And I have 3 different cable cardigans that I can do. I have the Cloud Peak cable cardigan. I did not get gauge on this one, and I just couldn't make myself pick it up and work on it again. I have the yarn for it. I actually purchased the yarn from Rhinebeck, and so it's not a access point of quality yarn. The yarn I have is perfect. And in terms of the gauge, I really should have went up a size with that. When I say gauge, I got the gauge, the stitch count that the designer called for, but it doesn't fit me the way I want. Even though my measurements is within the size large, I'm just not happy, or the size 3. I'm just not happy with it. So I want to go up a size, which means I need a frog. So I can do that. I have the yarn for it. I have the time for it. And I don't mind frogging anymore. In the beginning I used to, but I genuinely don't mind frogging anymore. So there's no reason to do that. So the Cloud Peak is the cable cardigan that I'm leaning towards. There's also the new Sorry Norland book cardigan. I think it's called Book Hub cardigan. It is stunning. And I really have leaned towards that. I have never made a Sorry Norland pattern. And so what I was thinking of doing before purchasing that is to make her turtle dove shawl, because I already have that I already own that particular pattern, and I have the yarn for it too. And so I was thinking of doing a turtle dove shawl, see how I like this woman's writing style in her pattern, and if I like the outcome of it, then I can potentially buy the Book Club one. So the Book Club is the one I'm leaning towards. And the third cable pattern is a random one that I found from Yarn Inspirations. The pattern was published on their website, and it's accessible also through Ravelry. And so I downloaded the pattern, and it's in my library of patterns. And so it's really cute. It has really a nice diamond motif, and it has a couple of other cool features that I really like about the item. It's not as much moss stitch, where I believe the Sorry Norland one requires moss stitch. So that's where I'm on the fence about that. So with that said, I really do think I am going to try to make a decision within the next few weeks about which cable cardigan, because that will fulfill all of my cables. I would have made a cable neck accessory, cable socks, a cable pullover, and a cable cardigan. And then once I have all that, and then if I can get that done by the end of 2024, that I can honestly say I have fulfilled the goal of the cables of the 2024. Now, are there other cable sweaters I want to do? Absolutely, because I still want to do a cable vest. That might be pushing it. I don't know if I can crank that out as well, because Colorwork is like been calling me. I'm loving the way Colorwork is coming out. This particular garment has definitely helped me fall in love with colorwork in a way I didn't think was possible, and as well as the Artus shawl. And this has made me fall in love with lace. I never thought I could be a lace knitter. I was like, it's just not me. I don't know how to do it. But Isabell Kraemer really knows how to write a good pattern, because I struggle with lace motifs. I don't know why, but her lace work, this is the perfect beginner friendly lace pattern. So to recap, if you are looking for a beginner friendly lace pattern, that is your go-to. You knit yourself the Fjolla, which again, I know I'm saying wrong, so please forgive me, but the Fjoli, whatever, FJLLOA sweater. I'm going to put the link to it in the description. So knit that particular sweater if you want to make a lace one. If you want color work and you really want to do it and get into it and fall in love with it, check out the frame sweater. I love it. Just don't play yarn chicken like I am. The only issue I'm having with this particular project is 100% me. I don't have the sweater quantity needed to do it. And because of that is the reason why I've been on a struggle with this. It has nothing to do with the pattern. It is such a well-written frame color work pattern. And finally, for a cable sweater, if you are looking for a beautiful, intricate cable sweater pattern that is easy to read, great in clear charts, I would definitely say the oatmeal sweater. I did a test knit for that. That was breezy. And I'm not the best at reading charts. I've only read 2 or 3 charts in my entire knitting career successfully. And that is the easiest chart to read. Once you blow it up, and you can just, if you have the PDF, you just click on that little plus icon and you make it bigger, and you can do it. I use Knit Companion. That's what helped me through this whole process of knitting it. So glad that I did that, because I was able to fly through it, because you're doing each section at the same time. It was such a fun knit. I really enjoyed myself knitting that, because it's an all over cable. Like there's a braid cable, there's a twist cable. What was the other one? There was a braid, the twist, there was a diamond cable. There wasn't a honeycomb, which I liked. I don't really like doing honeycombs, so I like that as well. I wasn't there was some purling, some knitting. It was great. I love that. If I again was playing yarn chicken with myself, I wish I had made the sleeves a little bit longer, but fortunately when you do some great wet blocking, it makes the sleeves add length. And plus it's a superwash yarn, so I know that sweater is going to stretch out. So if you're curious about what my oatmeal sweater looks like, or if you're curious about my status on where I'm at with different projects, check out my Ravelry page. I take diligent notes because it helps me stay on track about my project, but it also just allows me to go back and reflect about the stuff I've been doing, because I'm a big fan of writing journals, and I use my Ravelry page to journal my knitting experience with the project. So check that out. If you want to see, and I have photos on my Ravelry as well that you can check out. But if you're someone that prefers social media rather than Ravelry, I am on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Ray282320, and so you can check me out there, and I will have this information in description as well. And so that is it for me. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all the update. So remember a couple of days ago, I was sitting outside. Hopefully I told you this story. So let me tell you this story really quick for those of you who didn't listen. Let me tell you. So a couple of days ago, this is before I finished my Artus shawl. I'm outside. It is beautiful out here. I mean, gorgeous. I'm knitting away on it, and I carefully place it on the ground, so that way if I put it in a chair, one of my kids might sit on it. So I put it on the ground, away from any foot traffic, and I put my needles in properly, whole 9 yards. Perfect. Go inside to go get whatever it is I needed to get, came back out, and my son was coming. I was like, wait, my knitting's right here, don't touch. And usually with my knitting, I scoop it up and then put it into my lap. Very rarely do I grab it by the needles, because there's been too many times, so when I've grabbed it by the needles, I end up dropping stitches. So whenever I grab my knitting, I try to grab it as a whole with the needles and the yarn at home. If it's a big project, I just get under it and just bring it up. So I treat it like a delicate baby, right? I was going in to go scoop it up, and then as I was scooping it up, I hear this snap. My knitting needles for my Chagu Forte, my $330 knitting needles, one of them snapped in half. Now, mind you, I had already been struggling with these needles because in addition to them being this beautiful ebony wood, it has a steel tip to it, just like what you see here. It has this beautiful steel tip, but the tip was coming loose on my 4.5. So every time you know how you have to move the stitches around and whatnot, every time I was doing that, it kept popping. And I was like, why is it making that popping noise? Like, what the heck is happening here? And it turned out that the tip was about to pop off. And so I didn't even send them that information because that doesn't bother me too much. I can always just pop it back on there. I could live with it. The shifting of the tip wasn't the issue. The breaking of the needle was. I can still work with it with the tip being loose. I can't work at it with it when it's broken in half. I even looked at it to see if I could tape it, and I was thinking about how miserable I would feel if that was the case. I thought about using wood glue, and then my husband's like, I can wood glue it, but it won't have the same diameter of it. And I was like, well, that takes the whole point away from it being a 4.5. So then I just said, you know what, I know CHAGU has to have something where I can buy a replacement needle. So I went on to Amazon, the website for CHAGU, and other local yarn stores. They didn't have it, but on the CHAGU website they did have a replacement section for your CHAGU Forte. So I emailed and I took a snapshot I took multiple pictures actually of my needle breaking, and I sent not one but two requests of a replacement. I'm more than happy to pay for it. I wasn't going on there looking for anything for free. I really was just informing them of the situation and wanting to know how can I get a replacement, because they're not selling these needles. These are limited edition versions of it. So this week, I want to say it was Monday, I got an email from a representative from CHAGU who apologized for her delayed response, which I didn't even say anything about the delayed response. I didn't think my first email went through. So that was the reason why I sent the second one, because when I submitted it, you get this notification at the bottom saying you will get a confirmation email saying that they received it. So I checked my spam, I checked other folders, nothing indicated that they received it. So that's the reason why I sent the second one. And I told myself if I didn't hear back from them within a week, that I would send another follow-up email, just to make sure that what I'm submitting is actually the correct document. This woman, by the kindness of her heart, sent me an email apologizing, and I was like, oh no, you don't have to do that. Apologizing and telling me that she was sending another one. And I thought I was just getting the 4.5 knitting needles. I was not expecting this. So this is what I got. When you buy a CHAGU Forte set, you get this double version of knitting needles. It starts from US 2 and it goes all the way up to US 15. And for those of you who are millimeters like me, that starts at 2.75 and goes all the way up to 10 millimeter. There is not a 7 millimeter needles in this particular set. And so that's what you get when you buy the CHAGU Forte. What she sent me was all the knitting needles from size 2 to 8. And so it came in this padded bag, and when you open the padded bag, it was these knitting needles. And I was shocked because I was like, I don't know if I want to use those, because I have feelings about cabas. I have the Knitter's Pride cabas, and you could just tell that there is a difference between this material here and this material. You can feel the little gap from it, and you can feel it again at the bottom, and the connection isn't as good. But with these needles, it is smooth. It really feels just like, you know, they're stainless steel knitting needles. That's what it feels like. It has that same smooth texture to it. And I did a join with it. Nothing but butter, as some people would say. I am so excited. So I am officially no longer using mine. So here is that needle that I was telling you about that has this part coming off. I'm going to try to bring my camera closer. Hopefully you can see it. But yeah, this one isn't working. Not working anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out of rotation. And this particular pattern I'm working on for frame calls for 4.5 middle needles, so that's what I'm using right now. And so far so good. It's been a very positive experience. I cannot believe that they sent me all those needles. I was not expecting that whatsoever, and they did it for free. I didn't have to pay for shipping, for handling, and so you know, there's good customer service out there, and then there's great customer service, and that is great customer service. I really appreciate that. They understand the fact that people spent their hard-earned money on this very expensive knitting needle set, and this is supposed to be my forever knitting needles. I have some extras, even one I recently purchased, just as a little treat, but I got those, the ones I recently purchased, I bought those for less than 30 bucks. I honestly think it was probably even less than that, but I bought those. They were red. I thought they were cute, and I wanted to give them a try. I'm not out there trying to buy knitting needles like that. And I also wanted just to have an extra set, so whenever my chalgu are in use, I can have a backup pair, so I'm not limited or restricted from working on a pattern because I don't have enough knitting needles. That's just who I am. And yes, I indulge, excuse me. This is my self-care, my hobby, my love, my everything. So yeah. I have other knitting needles, but I've donated those to my school because we have a fiber arts club. And so anytime I have a surplus of something, I always donate to them. So for example, any yarn I have in surplus, I donate. I've donated way too much, so she doesn't need any more. The woman who runs the club, she doesn't need any more yarn right now. But in the future, she does. She knows that I'm a go-to. I would, not only will I donate my own collection, but I would gladly buy a surplus of yarn, in which she said she needed last year were extra knitting needles. And because I had the Chalgu Forte, and at the time I didn't have any problem with them, and I had all these fixed needles that one of my friends gave me because she no longer knits. So I had a whole bunch of fixed needles, so I'm like, I don't need those. So I gave the fixed needles, the yarn that my friend gave me, as well as one of my old interchangeable sets, my very first one, to the knitting club. So that way they can know how to knit with interchangeable needles, because that's how you fall in love. The straight needles are great for practice, and I use them whenever I'm making scarves. I have used them, not frequently, but I have used them whenever I'm making scarves, but they're not my go-to knitting needles. It's my circular ones. So I'm very grateful to Chalgu for sending me the replacement, and to send me the replacement for those particular items. That was really generous of them. I wasn't expecting that. They only had to send a 4.5 because the other ones are perfectly fine. So that's it. That is the acquisition that I recently was given to me. And so now I am going to sit back and knit. I got my, I wanted to show you the little stopper I was referring to. So I'm sure you've seen this on Instagram, but here, I'm going to try to demonstrate what this looks like. Without dropping my phone. Can she do it? Okay. So if you are, for someone who's interested in using this stopper, which I would recommend, it does help push the yarn up. You push it in, and you make sure that you don't have it on the knitting needle. You got to make sure the needle's off. And when the needle's off, you can push it in, and it will push your yarn. See how it pushes my yarn forward? And then you can do this, do that. And so I do find this to be really helpful. That helps me refrain from pushing my stitches forward. So I use this, I have been using that a little bit more often as well. So that was just one little thing I wanted to share with you. So I already told you what I'm listening / reading. I'm not watching anything at the moment. I was watching, what was it? The Handmaid's Tale, but I decided to put that on hibernation until the 6th season comes out, and then I can finally get that off my queue. I rewatched, nope, I didn't rewatch it. I was going to rewatch it, but I ended up getting distracted by my beautiful babies. So nothing watching, just everything is listening or reading right now, because I'm trying to soak it in as much as possible, because September 3rd, I am back in the trenches with people's kids. And so we'll see how the children are acting this summer. Ooh, let's see. I can't decide about my hair. And hopefully I will have a decision about my hair. I will either have it in braids, or I'm going to be completely bald. Either I'm going to braid this up or just cut it all off. It has to be one or the other. We'll see. Anywho, I hope that you are all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me today to hear about my current knitting experience and my one finished object. And I hope that you will tune in to the next episode, please, or video. Please like and subscribe, and I look forward to connecting to you. Leave a comment. Tell me what you're working on. Tell me what you're interested in.